Hi, this is Phil Borders from Hendricks Therapy, and today we're going to continue our discussion on perfectionism. The last video we discussed that in order to get over perfectionism, you have to confront the biggest mental health killer, which is guilt, and embrace a big, true mental health ally, which is courage. So let's take guilt first. Let's say you have a friend who you have difficulty saying no to, and if you do say no, you feel guilty. So one way to get around this is to look at guilt a little bit differently. So if you think about it, guilt's really not a true feeling. Guilt is a judgment where you and I are judged guilty, not guilty. My personal belief is we should be judged guilty if and only if we purposely, so it has to be a choice, we purposely choose to do something morally incorrect, which is basically the definition of sin. Now that's a very tight definition, on purpose and immoral. So what I ask patients to do is when they feel guilty, it's like, wait a second, not a feeling, it's a judgment. Did I purposely do something immoral? Most of the time the answer is going to be no. Sometimes yes, and you got to own it. But most of the times for perfectionists, the answer is going to be no, I'm not guilty. So the job is to challenge the irrational, the incorrect guilt. Now that's not going to make the guilt magically disappear, but if you do it over and over and over again, it starts chipping away at it, where guilt no longer owns you. And the reward for that is freedom. So challenging our guilt is the first step. The next step is to challenge our fear. So generally speaking, we want to avoid things that make us afraid. But that's not correct. It's, in my opinion, wrong. We want to avoid things that are, obviously dangerous. But for the most part, in our world, we want to embrace fear. We want to embrace uncertainty. We want to embrace discomfort. And choosing to do those things, you're addressing head on your fears, which is putting you in the discomfort zone, which is basically stretching your comfort zone and creating growth. So challenging your guilt, fighting your fear, and without fear, there is no courage. So challenging your fears, confronting your fears by definition is courage. There was an American psychiatrist, his name was M. Scott Peck, and he wrote this book called The Road Less Traveled, which is basically the premise of the book. One of the premises of the book was that in order to get better, people have to work hard and show a lot of courage. Now, I think it's, realistic to understand that there's a lot of barriers for people to get better. Some people have really horrible pasts. Some people have lousy genetics. Some people are poor and they don't have a lot of resources. Some people's circumstances are incredibly difficult. So I don't want to make this sound like all you got to do is, show courage and work hard. But those are the two things that we do have control over, because we don't have control over much in this world. Our attitude, our hard work, our courage are things that we do have control over. And I've seen a lot of patients over the last 3 decades. And the ones that have gotten better for the most part, they have chosen the road less traveled. They have chosen the steep path, the rocky path, the narrow path, the slippery path, while ignoring the irrational and incorrect guilt. And that's part of what makes my job really cool is when you see people do this and show courage and show hard work to improve themselves. So again, I'm Phil Borders from Hendricks Therapy. Thanks for watching.